record button.
I too am pressing my record button.
I'm supposed to press mine now?
Yep.
Okay.
And usually we do a clap, but we won't have to just because we're using the Hangouts audio.
If that's how you sync,
I'm editing.
then more power to you.
Yeah, it's really easy because I get to, instead of just that one clap, I do everybody's like a sentence. That's a lot easier because then you hear all the... Anyway, none of this is important. What is important is that... Welcome, everybody, to another week of slashmls. My name is my name is Ian. My username is Automascarhu.
And I am James, username Nefarious Joe.
And with us today we have special guest, username Lox the Fox. Her real name is Lacrio. What's up?
Not much. Busy taking shots of hot sauce after another union disaster.
Oh
dear.
Yeah, we will get to that later. A lot of you on the sub who listen to us regularly will recognize Lox the Fox from everywhere on the subreddit. She comments on pretty much literally every thread that exists. She also makes a ton of match threads, and for that we are eternally grateful because match threads are hard, and I've never done them.
You have to tend to them. You have to care, and then because if you don't, they die almost immediately.
So the thing about match threads is I'm not ever going to do it for my own team because I just get too emotional and too invested, and like that New England game, I couldn't have done it. I just would have walked away and not even paid attention to it and been like, oh shit, I was supposed to do a match thread. And then I guess with the rest of the games, I don't even think about it. Luckily, there are enough people like you, Lacria, who are awesome enough to make those for us. So yeah.
And you might also recognize my being in every match thread with the kit matchups.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you've been doing that this year. Are you noticing anything interesting, surprising with those?
Portland's third, the green throwback kits, are doing absurdly well. They've played in it 6 times and have 5 wins, 2.5 points per game.
Wow.
And
well, I think we just found the secret to Caleb Porter's success for the remainder of the year. Normal,
Burn
religious listener. Yeah, exactly. It's like one of our most loyal listeners, Caleb Porter.
Yeah, it's
Dong Burger.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's why that would be awesome, but maybe one of these days. Yeah, I mean they are the most beautiful kits in the league, and I'm not, obviously. Actually, no. As a non-biased, as a biased person, I obviously think our All Blacks are great. But as a non-biased observer, I really love that color of green. Like green is my overall favorite color, sporting notwithstanding. And that particular green, that forest green, I love forest green so much that my first time playing Football Manager, I used forest green, the team in England. So.
Aww.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with you. Those are my favorite kits right now. Now that the old 2012, 2013 asymmetrical Sporting Kansas City kits are gone, and the first year the really thin horizontal stripes on the old Vancouver kits. Now that those are both gone, we don't really have a very classy option. That's the best one right now.
James, I was a fan of your guys's
2009, 2010 best kit ever. LA Galaxy 2009, 2010.
No, I was a fan of your callback, not necessarily throwback, but callback black and green kits last year.
The black and green?
Yeah, the black with the green trim.
Oh, you mean the one with the 1996 colors? The black, the clown shoes third kit?
Yes.
They if we're talking about kits that have an absurd record, the Galaxy have an absolutely insane one in that. They were they had 18 wins and 1 loss and 87 draws doing that with a plus 43 goal difference. They scored an absolutely insane number of goals, mostly because they played Chivas in it a lot, but yeah, it was a good one.
All right, so before we get to the MLS action, do you guys want to talk a little bit about this women's game that just happened?
I didn't watch, so I have no opinion.
Well, for the folks at home, the U.S. women's team just coasted to a pretty unspectacular win versus Colombia, a team that they really should have ripped apart from the word go. But it took not one but two penalty calls and a deflection, and Colombia going down a player for us to actually secure a win. God, one of the penalties is Abby Wambach totally blew. We need to bench her. I don't like her.
So I agree. I just don't think. I don't think Jill Ellis has any sort of power within that team. Like, that's why she was named the coach, right? Because they had that power struggle with the old coach, Tom Sermani.
I know. I heard about that.
Yeah.
I know. Like the whole clique with run by Wambach and Solo and all that stuff. But
and Rapinoe.
yeah. Well, no. I hear that Rapinoe like tried to not be a part. I don't know. It's all high school gossip at this point. It's a lot of the same stuff that like you heard happening with France a few years ago. It's like the French men's team years ago. It's all the same thing where they're like, oh, we don't like that player, and it's like, how do you have room for that on a national team? I don't understand that at all.
I have my concerns, and my biggest concern is that they can beat China, right, and then they can play Germany, and
I mean that's the real final. That's going to be the real final this tournament.
It's the real final. So, but my concern is that suppose they don't get Brazil, and if they get Brazil, then that's
Wait, what? That team that is no longer in the tournament?
No. I'm talking about 7-1. Like if Germany. Yeah. If that doesn't.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. Yeah, we're coming up on Germany Brazil Day in just a few on July 1st. Hey, yeah.
The day I was so happy.
But sorry,
I
go
was
ahead.
so salty from the first game.
Oh,
the Croatia game? Oh, that's right, because you're a secret Croatian, not so secret on Twitter, if anybody, because you follow like the Croatian women, like second division women's hockey team, and I just
second division women's hockey.
Yes.
I think we have a second division.
Is there a second international division?
What it is in hockey they do like the promotion relegation thing.
Oh yeah.
And the Croatian women are in like Division 2A or something, and so they played this tournament that I don't know if they won. You know that if they won though.
We got
that's
murdered,
the thing.
But
okay, they got murdered.
I'm sorry. Am I to understand that women's international hockey has promotion and relegation?
Yes, actually, all forms of international hockey have promotion relegation. Oh
Seriously?
God,
Yeah.
That is
relegation. World Juniors have promotion relegation. Under 18s have promotion relegation.
To what? Like, I mean, well, no, what I understand. Well, okay, wait. So, do they have do the international teams play in like a league format, or do they just get together and have a tournament every year, and then you say you qualify for this or that tournament based on your performance?
Well, so the way it works, at least in the top division, is it's a 16-team thing, I think, and they're divided into two groups of 8. You can, if I'm getting any of this wrong, you can correct me. And so the groups of 8 they play against each other in round robin, and then
how often?
Just one. It's part of the tournament setup.
What I mean is how many days or weeks from one game to the next? Like, is this like a World Cup thing where it's done over the span of a couple of months, or is this something that you spread out over the course of a year?
Oh,
it's more like
no. It's you'll play 3 games in 5 days. Yeah, it'll be they go fast.
This is a bizarre situation. I bet this is what Jurgen Klinsmann wants MLS to do.
All right, so moving on from international. Oh yeah, well anyway, so basically the last two the two worst teams the teams that finished bottom of their groups, they get demoted.
Okay.
To
and then the top
below
two
them.
from the division below them get promoted. In which case, this year it was Kazakhstan and Hungary.
Right.
Huh. Okay.
So
well, congratulations to Kazakhstan and Hungary.
I'll have fun watching Finland beat up on either of those teams next year. So it'll be exciting.
Hey, Finland and Hungary are in the same Euro qualifying group in soccer.
Yeah,
so
I know, and that did not go well for us. Soccer doesn't go well for us in general.
Finland is not exactly a world powerhouse in international football. No.
Yeah.
My favorite player plays for them.
Who's
I
your
am
favorite player?
such an oddball. Holy shit.
Wait, who's your favorite player?
Roman Aryamenko
Oh, that guy. The
plays in Mercer.
lesser Eremenko brother?
The
What?
lesser.
The lesser Eremenko brother?
Yeah, he does have a brother.
Well,
Wow, there's an
anyway.
inside joke that I am missing. But um, to wrap up the talk of for the women's team, they had better do better against China. We're going to be missing two starting midfielders, and hopefully that won't be too much of a problem. Although it doesn't pretty much ensure that Abby Wambach is going to be starting another game, which really her minutes should be managed and not just thrown out there all the time.
I feel like she should have played the role that Landon Donovan should have played in 2014.
No. I can tell you exactly the role that she should be playing right now. It is what Miroslav Klose was doing for Germany in 2014. It is exactly that. Coming on, or what Alan Gordon is doing for the Galaxy now. Coming on in the 75th minute and just throwing elbows.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like that's what we wanted Landon Donovan to do last year. Maybe not throw elbows, but we wanted.
No. What we wanted Landon Donovan to do last year was start and go 90 every game and do amazing because Donovan is the best.
Okay, Mr. LA Galaxy fan. No, but the thing I was trying to say before we got sidetracked by second division international hockey was, I feel like if we lose to we get to the semis and we lose to Germany like 2-1 or 3-2 or something, it'll be considered a relatively successful World Cup and nothing will change.
Right.
And that's my worry.
So. Well, I mean, the change that needs to happen is, I think, is going to happen regardless. I think that with the retirement of Abby Wambach from the team is going to be a big thing, and then whatever fallout that Hope Solo's personal situation, when the dust finally settles on that one way or the other, I think that's going to be a big thing. But there's so many good players who are young and not as, say, problematic or let's say exclusive in training, then I think it's going to be fine. Like, I think this is a problem that's kind of going to sort itself out. Like, I mean, Jill Ellis isn't exactly the coach of the future for the team, but I couldn't really tell you who is. I mean, I don't really know who other than Pia Sundhage, who honestly I didn't really like the way she was coaching the team either. I don't know who the great women's soccer coaches are really who they are even.
Well, there's Anston Dorrance, who's already done it. And that's what I got. Maybe you pluck somebody from college soccer. That's been successful in the past.
Well, something that I've always wondered is why there isn't more. I mean, the men's and women's games are so similar. I really don't understand why you can't take somebody, even say from MLS, maybe. Get Robin Fraser over there to do it. Somebody who's intelligent and things like that. Because it's so hard to know. I mean, and maybe if you get a few more years of the NWSL, somebody could rise to the top like Bruce Arena did in the early days of MLS.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Until any of that happens, though, we're stuck with this team who, I guess they're frustrated. We'll get more into this because we're going to talk with a Women's World Cup expert at some point in the next couple weeks.
Well, hopefully before the China game. Or perhaps the day of.
Yeah, potentially one of those things.
We could do another one of those before the game and after the game deals. I actually wouldn't mind doing that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. But yeah, actually, I'll just save those thoughts for then. Let's move on to MLS. Yeah. Dallas, Colorado. They played a soccer game. It tied.
Okay, well, all right. No, I mean, there's still a story there. Those are teams that are right now meeting in the middle. Colorado way better than they were at the beginning of the year, and FC Dallas way worse. We talked not too long ago with John MLTX about why Dallas might not be performing at the level that they've become accustomed to. But Colorado's looking so much better. Their attack is actually starting to click. They still leak defensively, in a way that is obviously very worrying and basically means that. But before we thought that they were just going to be these dumpster dwellers, and now it's possible that they might challenge for a. They might actually challenge for a playoff spot. That's a big story for me.
A playoff spot? I just feel like they're too out of it.
I mean, I know it's like, well, look,
They still
have
only
like
have 2 wins.
and also like when you look at the Supporters Shield race, and like 8 of the top 10 teams are in the Western Conference.
Yeah,
and
That West is just murder.
it is.
Oh my God, I have honestly no idea what's going to happen. I could not pick the 6 right now. I couldn't do it. I would get at least.
The East is similarly log jams, just at a much lower
Just in
point.
the completely opposite direction. Isn't there a 4-way tie for 5 through 8 right now?
There is, and Columbus and New York are among those, by the way. They've all
Which is
fallen off a cliff for hilarious reasons that we'll get into later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my only worry is that, I mean, sort of what happened last year was Colorado played average soccer. It wasn't really good enough to be considered title contenders. They sort of fell out of the playoff race, and then once they actually fell out of the playoff race, they just stopped caring and didn't give a shit, and didn't win a game for.
Joe frickin' NASCO.
Oh, everything that you need to know about them from last season really can be summed up.
Summarized in that one RSL game
Oh,
where he gave up like 3 howlers.
yeah, I mean, more power to him for living the dream, but good God.
Wait,
although-
so did he play more than one game? Because the game I remember
Yeah.
him was the one where he got sent off 30 seconds in.
Yeah, against LA,
Played
actually.
against RSL and got murdered. Because his first game he played Seattle and was actually okay.
Okay.
But no,
Then-
he was absolutely starting over Clint Irwin for reasons beyond reason.
Well, wasn't Irwin hurt?
No.
Okay.
I mean, maybe that's how it started, but there were absolutely times where Joe Nasco was out there and Clint Irwin was on the bench. I hope he was hurt. I hope his leg was hanging off. I hope his wrists were shattered, because that is the only reason why you would do that.
And even then, don't they have Burner laying around? He probably would have been better.
Yeah, well, Burner is this guy that Charlotte fans are resentful of because he comes down to Charlotte and takes away minutes from Diego Restrepo, who is a much better goalie. That's all I know about Burner, honestly. So there's a little bit of a story in that Colorado drew. They had a pretty lovely goal to equalize that game. Castillo is still, there's nothing a lot to say about Castillo that hasn't been said. He's a one-man.
He is very good at soccer, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he could score a goal at any time. I guess my worry with Dallas is a similar worry to which Matt Doyle pointed out earlier at some point in the last week, is that they have Mauro Diaz. They're struggling anyway. Like usually, like last year, their struggles began when Mauro Diaz went out. They sort of figured out how to adapt, and they went on from there. This year, Mauro Diaz has been fine. They've pretty much had everybody healthy except for Hedges at some point, which is a big deal because center backs are important. We've talked about that literally every podcast. But everybody has injuries. Everybody's had call-ups. Everybody's had this or that. Everybody has had to deal without having a competent center back. I know you have to play Leonardo a lot. We have to not play our first choice center back pairing, but we've got depth. Teams with depth you don't necessarily need depth to win MLS Cup, but you might need depth in the West to make the playoffs. And Dallas isn't really showing that, and their slump continues, and I hope they break out of it because they're a lot of fun when they're good.
I don't know if I don't know. I have an irrational hatred of FC Dallas, so whenever they lose horribly, it makes me just feel good inside. Okay. But that said, it is a little perplexing that like their attack just completely isn't working. Actually, I mean, to loop it back around to the women's national team, like they're actually like the defense for the women's team is having a stellar World Cup, but like the attack is not getting it together in the way that they really should be. And so I'm thinking that when you look at perhaps midfield composition and who they have starting versus who they don't, maybe we're thinking like, okay, maybe it's some kid playing FIFA and he just wants to put out his 11 most highly rated players, instead of actually trying to build a team. And so maybe that's what's happening in the attack for Dallas. Like perhaps that chemistry isn't quite where it needs to be.
A team of individuals as opposed to a cohesive unit.
Right, exactly.
And the thing that Oscar Pareja doesn't do, which I think somebody like Bruce Arena would do, like he did with Robbie Rogers last year, is if somebody's underperforming, they get benched. That doesn't really happen in Dallas, and I would kind of like to see it. I think, just see what would happen.
Yeah, and even when you look at like some of their smaller players, say, well, comparative, not physically smaller, but say like less renowned players, like say Matt Hollingshead, who had a really, really good start to the season, where you don't see him getting rewarded for his ability to like really just get into that attack and get something going in a way that defenses might not expect. So I don't know, maybe they've just been scouted too hard, and people know it's like, okay, you just clip Diaz in a way that the ref won't notice, and they've got nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You say, it's like, okay, you take away Tesha Wakandelle's favorite foot, and all of a sudden you can't finish anymore. So it could be something as simple as that.
You shouldn't. Dallas has enough talent where you shouldn't have to. Like, it shouldn't be possible to be able to take away these little things about these players and
I agree.
and be successful defensively. Yeah. So I guess we'll see how that goes going forward. The Saturday games are next, but before we get to the Saturday games, we are going to talk to our ref expert, Mr. Morguzan. He corrected me while I was in absentia last week. That's how you say his username. We'll bring him on to talk about all the controversial ref calls, which this weekend not a lot. Although maybe you guys disagree. I don't know. We'll see what he says.
Oh yeah, there was enough penalties to talk about, at the very least.
That is for sure. All right. Sweet invite. Lux, you got any referee grievances from the weekend?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah.
Which is weird. When was the last time we said that in MLS?
Jesus, yeah.
It's probably, I mean, we're just so used to the things. Like, of course, there's like plenty of things where like I saw that and I'm like, that should have been a card. But there wasn't any real game-changing things, I don't think.
Yeah.
RSL SKC could have devolved into it, but somehow it didn't.
I thought RSL SKC was, for as physical a game that ended up being and was always going to be, was pretty well officiated. I was impressed. Yeah.
We shall see.
Indeed. Mr. Zach, you there?
Aha. Hello.
There he goes. Did you get a haircut? You look different.
Different.
You look weird. Why did you change?
I'm just on a different computer on my laptop, so it's a different perspective.
Uh-huh.
I see. We're gonna. It's pretty late on my end, so we're gonna get started pretty quick.
Cool, yeah, let's do it.
Are you recording?
Yes. Yep, I'm officially recording.
Sweet. And do you have like a best and worst like usual? Or are we?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Sweet. And then we'll go into some other refereeing aspects. And by the way, Zach Morbuzan meet Lox the Fox. Lox the Fox meet
Privyet.
Morbuzan. Yes.
Hi.
Okay, I really need to stop saying that.
Nice to meet you.
Oh no, it's okay. It's unique. It's good. Unique is good. Anyway, all right, let's go.
All right. Total taskmaster today. Let's do this.
All right, we're here with Zach Morbuzan. Did I get that right?
Don't we need to do a clap?
No, it's fine. I've got the Hangouts audio. We're good.
Okay. All right, sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, so you're here. You're a ref. You think about.
You're not. Redo the intro, Ian. Redo the introduction, okay? It'll take you 5 seconds.
I was gonna roll with it because I I like the notion of having the Hangouts audio in the
No,
podcast.
no, don't. This
'Cause-
thing has enough of a handmade quality. You don't need to give away all of our dirty secrets.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I don't want them coming to look for us on live YouTube. That would be sad. That would be not good. Okay. All right, we're here with Zach Morbuzan. He's our referee expert. Zach, let's get right into it. Best and worst of the weekend.
Sure. So I don't remember if we used to start with best or worst. So we're just going to start with worst, which is predictably going to be Clint Dempsey's 3-day ban. Not
Yeah.
or 3-game ban, I should say, but not really a call, but it's a decision that was terrible.
That's
What
well.
would
So
you have given him?
Yeah, I would have given him the 3 months.
yeah.
Really,
You know,
you would go the whole way? Like you would say that that's like assaults. You would make.
By the rules that the definition that USSF has given, yeah. And
Okay.
there's really not a whole lot of way around that.
Now, is it weird to you at all that MLS made that decision and USSF did not?
Yeah, that's really strange. It doesn't. Alexi Lawless tweeted out, "We can argue about the rules regarding Clint Dempsey's suspension, but we can't argue that USSF is not following them." And that's pretty clearly accurate. I don't know why.
Why even have that regulation if you're not going to follow through? Like if USSF literally, because there was like a notion that USSF just literally couldn't do that it was up to the league. If that's true, then why even make that a thing? Like,
and why would it be up to the league? Because it wasn't even an MLS game. Like there's no.
Apparently, it was Don Garber's decision.
Yeah, and that doesn't even make any sense. I don't.
There's obviously a
Maximum
lot
MLS.
going on.
And as decent as Garber has been for the league, no, I said decent. He's really not a soccer guy, and that's one of the biggest criticisms of his commissionership is he's a businessman and a pretty good one, but he's not a soccer guy, and this is a soccer decision.
Okay.
But he's ready. Came from the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that he's been around for 20 years. He's been around MLS long enough to know enough about soccer. Like he's been watching soccer with a critical eye for about as long as I have.
Well, I think the point that he's trying to make there, sorry to speak for you, but is just that this is clearly a decision that was made with, well, we have to give out enough where it clears that we can waggle the finger at Clint Dempsey and say, okay, no, don't do this again. But at the same time, they're not keeping him out of games for so long because they know what a draw he is.
Exactly.
And the Seattle San Jose game shows how lost the most popular team in the league is without him, without their 2-star players.
Yeah.
So
I have one last question for you on the Dempsey thing. Did you write the referee response to that? 'Cause it was you seemed pretty unhappy, and that response seems pretty unhappy. So I figured maybe there's a.
Naturally. No, I did not write that response, but I think that's good that we got that out of the way.
Okay, yeah.
You're not. You don't speak for PRO or anything like that. Then why do we have you here?
Red card, the ref.
All right. Speaking of red cards, best of the weekend. I don't even know if it was a red card, but whatever.
No, it was a red card, though. It was in
Yes.
the USA match. The red card against Colombia's keeper. I think that was a great, solid, I love a good dog-so call, and that one was pretty clear, I think.
Yeah.
I especially liked that the referee got the PK aspect of it right.
I was when
right
I
on
saw
the line.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh, no, that's not a PK. And it took me 3 replays to figure out that it was. And I'm like, there's no way she saw that from that far away.
Yeah,
But maybe she did.
It is one of those where it's it could go either way. You can't fault the referee if she makes either decision. By the spirit of the game, I feel like it's good that it was a penalty, just because if it had been if it had been 6 inches out, it still felt like that should be a penalty. And we'll talk about the unfairness and fairness of penalties later, because Pete and I were talking about that watching the DC game. But
there's a lot of penalties this week, so that'll be the.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very true. So that's all. So, wait, what was that?
I said hi Orlando Open Cup because they had like 3 penalties in that game.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
God.
did. At 4, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Clearly, I was watching the wrong Open Cup games this weekend.
Yeah, they had a guy who had a hat trick of penalties.
Rivas.
Vivas had a hat trick
Uh-huh.
of penalties against Charleston. Were they all good calls? Maybe.
I don't,
I didn't see that game.
yeah, Brad
Okay.
does.
On to the next thing. So yeah, Pete and I were watching DC New England, and obviously our winning goal was a penalty, which by the letter of the law, was the right call. It was right on the corner of the box.
Stone penalty all day.
Clear foul. But what Pete and I were talking about was like, yeah, that's the penalty, but it's right in the corner of the box. He's running away from the goal. It doesn't feel like it should be a penalty. Like from a soccer perspective, you feel like we get a free goal from this, okay. And like I feel like there are a lot of handballs too that not sort of like the first New York City FC goal, that Cheroux handball where it sort of bounced off the field.
But that's a stone penalty all day too. He played the ball into his own arm.
He absolutely did. By the letter of the law, it's a penalty, absolutely, and he should have moved his hand away. It just doesn't.
Look, if you're able to gain control of the ball in the box using your arm, you have gained enough of an advantage where that deserves to be a penalty. Like, I mean, say what you will about, like, maybe it's not in the spirit of it if he's running away from goal, which I think you have an argument for. But, like, if you're bumbling the ball in the box and you do something illegal in order to maintain control, that's a penalty all day.
So that's why I disagree, because I don't think that merits a 0.85 goals for the other team. I think that merits, like, a 0.5 or 0.4 goals for the other team, but not
okay, it's a free kick just outside of the box, but there can only be 4 defenders in there. That's it.
Well, see, I like the notion of there being more indirect free kicks in the box, like at the spot of the foul, because those are really exciting and turn into goals a lot of the time. Anyway, Pete, you're here. You're probably just listening, but we're literally talking about what we talked about in that DC New England game. Anyway, Zach, what do you think about all those words we just said?
Yeah, so those were a lot of words. No, the penalty in the DC game, it definitely was. I mean, that's a stone cold penalty. But I got the same feeling that you did. That it's like, man, it's harsh because, like you said, he's running away from goal. He didn't have a scoring opportunity at all. It wasn't like it was a really promising attack developing. He just happened to be in the box and get fouled. But
the point that I made to Ian was that it was 100% the correct call, but it's not the interpretation that I understand that it's currently the best way to go, but I want it to not be. Like I want that to not be the interpretation.
You reject reality and substitute your own. Yeah, no, I get that.
not just back to goal, but actively leaving the box, like on your way out of the box with control of the ball, not looking for a passing opportunity. Like he's not gonna make a scoring attempt.
Yeah, and I know I totally get it where you're coming from. The problem is that like trying to change that, because the only solution ultimately to avoiding that sort of thing from happening is giving the referee discretion on when it is not a penalty kick.
Right.
And
which technically they already have. Like we see things all the time that are fouls that they let go for whatever reason.
Yeah,
Right.
so for my money,
but on
then
clear fouls, I don't know.
So they are already making those discretionary calls. If you add another layer, I would personally be okay with that. Like the referee soccer is a game where the referee has the most like discretion to deal with. I feel like I know that was the stupidest way to put that, but that's
No, it's true. There's a lot of subjectivity in officiating soccer. And, well, on one hand, that's cool. The other hand, the biggest complaint you get about referees in the sport is that there's not enough consistency. And the way to achieve consistency is by removing subjectivity.
Right.
So, well, all nice to say, oh yeah, we should give the referee more decision-making power on what's in the spirit of the game. That works in theory, but in practice, it just creates more room for people to complain and feel like they
have been hard done by.
in by the referee.
Absolutely. I mean, 3 out of every 5 games, it looks like the ref's been bought out. Okay, 3 out of every 5 Galaxy games, it seems like the ref has been bought out against the Galaxy. But it's like, if you put that to every game everywhere in the world, like I feel like they have about as much discretion as they need.
All right, so one last question for Zach before we let you go and move on to the rest of the weekend recap. Anybody got anything?
Okay, so do you think that the officiating has been improving or getting worse over the course of the season so far? Because I remember in the beginning, a lot of us had a lot of problems.
Yeah, I think things have calmed down. I think maybe there's some improvement, but I think there's also a lot less situations which would lead to controversial calls.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at MLS this weekend, it was pretty tame compared to week 2 or week 3, where there were like 5 red cards each, and they were at least 80% deserved.
Right.
Well, the Sounders took up all of the red cards for the week, so that was
right.
It was already been all handed out at this point.
So I think there's a mix on that. But that also sort of ties in really well to the subjectivity thing, is when there are more big decisions to be made, then people are going to be more upset about it, regardless of outcome. And there's only so much a referee can do to prevent those situations from arising. Like when Aurelian Collin goes in to make a red card tackle, there's not a whole lot you can can do to prevent that.
Like nobody can talk sense into that guy, so it's like you just kind of have it at the ready.
There's a lot Aurelian Collin can do to prevent that, but not really.
Well, yeah, but that's like saying that only Luis Suarez can prevent Luis Suarez from biting people. But we all know how that works out when you leave the responsibility to him on that one.
Right.
So, all right. Well, then, let me put it this way. A lot of times with referee organizations, and I imagine this is also true for MLS, is they'll usually have 1, maybe 2 guys who really dictate the philosophy of the entire refereeing crew, club. I don't know how you would. Association. Thank you. Yeah, what the entire referee association says. So like, they could show video and they'll talk to everybody and they say, okay, next week this isn't a foul, guys. This is not something that we are giving out cards for. This is something that we are giving out cards for, that sort of thing. So if you were that guy and you've been watching MLS this season, what is like the one thing, or you'd be going up to our referees, get them all down in a room, pull out the projector and say, okay, we are giving cards for this? What would be the change that you would make?
What would be the change that I would make? That's a big question.
Yeah.
I think the biggest change is I would tell crews to talk to each other more before making big decisions. I can think of 2 or 3 instances this season, just off the top of my head, where it was a poor decision that could have been fixed by better communication between the referee and his assistant.
Was it Petrescu all 3 times?
Because
he seems to just completely ignore anyone that's not himself.
Wow.
Move on.
Your silence says more than words ever could.
All right, so Zach, you got one last thing to say?
No, that's really it. I think that's my answer to that question.
I think that's a great answer, by the way.
That's the best answer any ref could ever give us, especially on the pitch. All right, it's been great, Zach. We'll have you on next week to talk. Hopefully, more exciting referee developments happen next weekend. We actually have 2 full match days between now and then, so twice the referee fun. All right,
well
thank
have
you.
a wide recap episode.
Oh yeah, that's true. So yeah, if you're around Thursday, this is for after. Anyway, yeah. So thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks guys. Always a pleasure, and see you later.
Thanks, Zach.
Spasibo.
Awesome. Okay.
Should we do a clap for me, or are we good?
You're good.
Apparently,
your-
Ian just uses the Hangout audio, so
Yeah,
more
you
power
didn't
to
even do
him.
a clap for me, so it's.
We haven't done the clap at all because I use Hangouts audio to sync.
Cool. That's great.
Ian, not a fan of the clap, apparently.
Ah.
I just like the.
Hopefully that'll be on his tombstone, and people will wonder for a moment, what does that mean?
Ian Armis Foster, not a fan of the clap.
It's like, who died due to gonorrhea? Oh, that went to a dark place.
Wait, is that what that refers to?
The clap? Have you not
Yes.
heard that phrase before?
No, I've just been sitting here confused for the last 90 seconds.
Oh,
The
clap is a euphemism for a sexually transmitted infection, yes.
Well,
Sorry.
the more you know.
Go ahead, yeah, you can go ahead and Urban Dictionary that one after the show.
All right.
God,
Well.
please cut this out.
Yeah, anyway, I'm going to go.
Yeah,
I'll see you guys
sounds
later.
All right, Zach.
Until next
see ya.
week,
Zach.
Bye.
All right, so here's how we're gonna roll. Pete, we
First,
have,
I want to say hi to Lox. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
I'm a big fan of you on the sub. You're always contributing.
Vala. Okay, now I'm speaking Croatian. I really need to settle on which language I'm speaking.
I highly suggest English.
That's
Yes.
my strong suit. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm told that's
use
the
whatever
link.
you want, but we want you to feel comfortable. But that would be my suggestion if you're asking.
I'm told that's language that people expect this podcast to be in. We can switch it up sometimes, but yeah.
Is anybody who's regularly on the show or any of us bilingual at all? Like,
I know-
Josh
I know-
is.
I know Finnish and French.
And
Okay.
Josh speaks a pretty mean Spanish.
He does.
okay, all right. Well, one of these days we'll have as many languages at once and see how many brains we can fill up.
All right, so we spent a good half hour on the pre-ref thing. We spent a good 20 minutes with the ref. Here's my suggestion: we do 2 minutes for every game that one of our teams wasn't in, 3 minutes for the Seattle game, 3 minutes for the DC game. Leave a good amount of time for LA.
Sure.
We can shed a minute off of Seattle to give to James because there's.
Okay.
I mean, really, like I'm just gonna say.
no Deuce, no.
Yeah, our whole team wasn't there, and we didn't look good. We shut down Wando. What's next?
Well, we'll save that. Ian, bring the lead back in, and Pete, get that stuff in the holster ready to go.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna actually use this countdown timer thing to make that happen, to keep us on whatever.
Okay.
Just in my head, I'll just write 30 seconds when it's 30 seconds, and if we go over, we go over. It happens. All right.
Oh, okay.
All right, we're back. Great interview with Zach as always. So yeah, let's move on to the rest of the week. First, those Sounders, those Sounders everybody signed up for season tickets for with Lamar Nagel and Papa. Papa looks fine. I figured my
He's a good
takeaway.
player.
Yeah, my takeaway from that is Papa has to play a 9 out of against really good teams or like solid teams. Papa has to play really well, and if he does, you guys still have a pretty good shot.
If you think Papa looked good in that game, then that's good news because had we not had so many injuries and suspensions, he would not have played because he had the flu. He actually played at a lower tempo. The quality is still there. His touches don't fall off, but his speed dropped a little bit. But yeah, he's an incredibly valuable player, and he is, an underrated reason why we have continued to win for 2 years.
Totally agreed.
And
Yeah.
and I did notice that he did fall off a little bit come the 75th minute. Some of his touches back to the defense were a little soft, and San Jose jumped on them.
I think the fatigue from sickness definitely plays into that. But I mean, honestly, there's not a lot to say about this game. There was a great tweet that somebody had that in 2 San Jose games in Seattle, they've taken 6 points and scored like 5 goals, and 7 other games in Seattle have a total of 3 goals against the Sounders and a total of like 1 point or something like that. So San Jose's been kind of a tough one. They beat us at full strength back in March, actually on my birthday, which was a little shitty. But,
Happy birthday, your team loses.
Hey, San Jose beat the Galaxy on my birthday too.
Yeah.
Twinsies.
Then
I'm
they
so I don't have to
happened
complain about us
last
losing.
year.
So then San Jose came in and faced an incredibly depleted squad. All 3 DPs did not play. Our typical backup striker, Chad Barrett, didn't play. There was a whole lot of people missing from that game, and you're gonna lose some games like that. We're probably gonna lose some more games like that in the next 6 weeks. So luckily we've stacked the points up before now, but really there's
3 points coming up Wednesday. Come on now.
Oh, that's so.
Pass
Now,
this
We're
around.
gonna ask for a little bit more optimism from you. Come on.
That actually presents.
I'm a Philly fan. Optimism is not in my vocabulary.
Pete, are you guys even bringing people to Philly? Because that's like a cross-country trip in the middle of the week before having to come home to play Portland. I know when we had to do that. When we had to do that, we just sent nobody out to Portland midweek when we had to do the cross-country thing in the middle of the week for no particular reason. Are you sending anybody out there?
Do you mean players or fans?
I'm sure he doesn't know. Let me just put it this way.
Are you sending people to play soccer to Philadelphia?
Well, here's the fortunate thing. Both of our teams just lost in the Open Cup, so it's real easy for us to poach from S2. I would not be surprised if you saw somebody like Darwin Jones, Mansari. I wouldn't be surprised to see a young squad get the call in Philly to try to test them a little bit, to save what little remaining depth we have on our senior squad, because I can tell you this week there is nothing more important to the organization than beating Portland in Portland. There's not going to be a bigger game for the next few months after the meltdown and first loss at Starfire in the Open Cup in the MLS history of the Sounders and on and on and on. Like, there's nothing this organization wants to do more than go into Portland and beat them. And so I would expect a CCL group stage type lineup to go to Philly.
Well, I guess it's a good thing that MLS doesn't have any weekend side rules, I suppose. Has Siggy ever done that in MLS play? Have we ever seen him do that?
Well, I mean, it's not like he's doing it to rest starters. It's that the starters are already missing.
Yeah, right.
So that's the thing. Like,
You guys did that against New York last year, didn't you? In New York?
I can't say. I don't remember, but
You had like a similar situation. Like, you had an Open Cup final in Philly 3 days before playing New York, and then you had to fly back.
Yes, that's true, because we lost to New York, and New York was very proud of that, but it was a pretty weakened squad they beat.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of New York, other New York team played Toronto, another traditionally pessimistic fan base. At least wants to get a couple of weeks into the season. Actually, do Philly fans have like the "this is our year" kind of thing? I don't know. I've never really heard that.
We're always naturally pessimistic.
That's what I've noticed. That's so.
I mean, when you play in the same city as the Sixers and the Phillies, it kind of...
Hey, at least the Phillies have a World Series recently. Right?
Do they?
Yeah. 2008.
Okay.
The Rays.
Well, I mean, look. At least at the end of the day, even though they don't have a soccer team, you could say at least we're not Cleveland.
God.
Like, at least we don't have a film series devoted to how shitty our baseball team is.
Oh my God.
But NYCFC and Toronto FC. Toronto, that was a game. It was at home. That's a game that they should have won, but they lost 2-0, and like they deserve to lose by more. What do we have to say about that?
I disagree. With the last part. I agree with the rest. I thought they created most of the better chances. New York City's first goal was stupid. I mean, it was a result of their center back being a dumb shit, handling the ball.
Well,
And,
half the time, that's what goals are the result of. I mean,
that's true, but that was particularly dumb and shitty. So,
okay.
you know, I was surprised that New York City's sort of lackluster center back pairing defensive midfielder guy. They've found some success with Facey Jacobson and Hernandez. Is that
That would actually be what I say. Like, their defense has turned it around in a big way in the past month.
Yeah, and they're starting to impress me a little bit. I was a little bit down on them after that Cosmos game, but they didn't play everybody, obviously. But yeah, they're starting to turn around, and I guess they're getting Pirlo and Lampard pretty quickly, so that's going to be fun. And
Worst idea ever.
I'm just excited for whatever the fuck happens.
I can't wait for like Jason Christ to come out for an interview with just like head in hands, being like, I don't even know anymore, guys. I'm sorry.
But they're okay, and they're in a playoff spot, sort of, or just one win away, which they've lost like twice as many games as they've won, but it's the East, so you can do that. So yeah, we'll move on. Toronto should have won that game. I was disappointed in not Jovinko, because Jovinko was the fucking star, as he always is.
He's my first half of the season MVP. Like, there's just no other choice. There's no other choice.
Definitely. So we'll move on to the other New York team who way too good at soccer. The other New York team is not that good at soccer anymore, especially when they don't have Sasha Kljestan for 80 minutes.
Yeah.
And especially Bradley Wright Phillips' penalties.
Oh my God. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm willing to give him a mulligan on this one, because that is like literally, like, if you were to check off what are the worst possible things that can happen to one team in a game, happen to all of them, not only over the course of the game, but over the course of the first 15 minutes. Like, you give up an early goal, you get a penalty and miss it, and you get a red card to arguably your best player. It's pretty rough.
That sequence, even though they're not at all related, made me nervous about that 82nd minute penalty that we got against New England, because I was like, shit, when you miss penalties, that's like worse. That's so bad, apparently.
It is so demoralizing for the fans and for the team, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, I know. But of course, what the smart thing that they did was make BWP take another penalty after he already missed one. That's always a good idea. And
Try and get his confidence back up.
And well, that could happen. But what actually happened was his confidence is now
shattered.
Yeah. So, besides that, though, 10-man New York didn't do so bad against Vancouver. I mean, they had a lot of great chances at the end to equalize. They had quite a few good chances to make it 1-1 in the first half. I was not unimpressed, and
the fact that they were still generating chances at all says a lot. Agreed.
Right.
Also, Padumaka really likes kissing men. Like, he really enjoys kissing people to try to get them off of their game.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
It's a weird habit of his, but he
does it like. It is one of those things he does off the ball to mess with you. Like, it's like Vinny Jones grabs your nuts, he will kiss you.
His neck right before the missed PK.
Seriously, and this is something he's been doing for a while.
Yeah, it's awkward.
I mean, I get it, but it's like one of those things where it's like, how long is it going to take a ref to be like, that's close enough to fucking spitting, you're out of the game, like.
Right.
That I had no idea. I guess okay.
Go watch that PK and watch him
Now I kind of really don't want. Well, yeah.
Okay. Just to sort of talk about just sort of bring this back in for an interview that existed in our past, but in the podcast's future. I brought up the phrase "the dark art of defending," and that is what that is. That is like 100% what that is. Like, that is, I'm in your head. And he's not the only one to do it. I mean, he's not not even the only one to do it in MLS, but I've never seen anybody do it as much.
Like hugging and kissing. He does.
Right.
The hugging is kind of what started it. That's when I noticed it first. He did a lot of like hand behind the head and neck, like hug.
Yeah.
and then that's now turned into like giving a peck on the cheek as well, and it's definitely the dark arts. That's
So,
accurate.
at one point in our lives, Paul Moduka, Will Johnson, Donovan Ricketts were all on the same team.
Oh
That
Jesus!
must have been a fucking irritating team to deal with as a rival fan.
Right?
Anyway, moving on to, I guess,
Montreal, Orlando.
yeah.
Lawrence Simon is very good at soccer.
well, and it's seeming like everybody on Orlando is just getting worse and worse. Like, I think we've yet to see. I think we've yet to see Kaká like win a game by himself, which is honestly something I really expected him to do. But like, it seems that like even he can't do it alone.
Orlando's iffy. They're flipping their early season form where they like to win on the road and not do that at home. Now they've found their form at home and are starting to play a little bit silly on the road, which most teams do. No one should sleep on Montreal. They're back into their groove. They were obviously competitive through the CCL, and that wasn't a fluke.
Right.
I feel confident.
It really is
that
starting to look like it just straight up was not. Like,
they have the third best points per game in the East, and that after starting out with like 2 points from their first 5 games when they were in CCL mode, that's really impressive.
Yeah, it really is.
I think they'll sneak up. They'll continue to sneak up on people, and they might be an interesting bet when we get to that segment later. Preview, shout out to the future.
We're doing a lot of weird time stuff right now.
We're time travelers.
Yeah, right. It's timey-wimey Doctor Who speech.
Let's not get into Doctor Who. Not on my podcast. I will quit this podcast if we. Sorry, no, I won't. But
I will never.
What I will do is
a spin-off podcast.
Sure. What I will do is try and transition us to Portland, Houston. I think that's next game. If it's not, I don't care.
Yeah.
Portland has won 5 in a row now, 4 in MLS play.
It's those third kits, I'm telling you.
I think this, to me, is the most predictable thing in the world. We all knew, or a lot of people said that exactly this was going to happen when Diego Valeri came back.
Yep. Also, Houston makes a lot of teams look good. Like I know that they've won a lot in a row, and I certainly, am paying attention to that. But in their last 5 wins, this is the least indicative to me. Like, They've won more impressive games than this simply by who they played. Sorry, Houston, you're just not my favorite.
While Houston has been overperforming according to our expectations in the beginning of the season.
So you guys aren't high on Houston anymore?
Nah, man.
No, I still feel the exact same way that I did before. I'm just higher on Portland. Like, I still think that Portland is a legitimately good team. It's just that they're like the Galaxy. They lose their most important piece, and that's really hard to replace. And when they lost 2, much in the same way that LA lost 2 and like a half pieces that were absolutely vital, you're bound to see results start slipping. I'm still impressed with how well Houston has been doing this year, especially coming over to the West.
Yeah, I'm still on the Houston bandwagon a little bit. I mean, I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but assuming that they actually can get assuming that they can get Kubo back. I mean, who knows what their points per game is going to turn into after that? Like, getting a consistent goal. Faux show. Anyway, speaking of a team that can lose its most important player and still put up results, DC United beating New England.
You're just gonna skip the last Saturday game?
I'm leaving you guys for last, so we can talk about
that. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, so that game.
No. We're still talking about that, Lux. Don't worry. We're not skipping your favorite.
I can't wait for you to say who your most important player is, and then me to scream bullshit. It's obviously Fabian Espindola, but please go ahead. Who's the player that you missed?
We didn't miss anyone. I'm just saying we are a team that can put up points without Fabian Espindola, but he is definitely our most important player. Cool.
I thought you were going to mention a player who didn't play.
No.
We had yesterday.
Like the most important player that wasn't on the field was Sean Franklin, and we've played many games without him, and it's been fine. But yeah, this is only the 5th game that Espindola played, and 3 of those have been very impressive for us. That
Well,
2-1
very
win
good at soccer.
in Vancouver, the 2-0 win over Columbus, now this one over New England. And I mean, the thing that Fabian Espindola, his presence does is it open things up for people like Chris Rolfe, who score wonder goals off on the Valley. That build-up was just, I could watch that goal forever and ever.
That is your best play of the season by far.
I think, 100%. I mean, it was an Espindola backheel to De Leon, who passed it back to Espindola, who crossed it perfectly to Rolfe, who half-volleyed it into the top of the net. It was just
so
like,
very Galaxy-esque, at the highest of praise.
Yeah, okay. Sort of, it reminded me a little bit of, no, I won't even say it. But everyone knows what I'm going to say. Yeah, I don't frequently feel good after DC wins, and I feel like, okay, we won that game. Like when we last beat, no offense, but when we last beat Philly 2-1, I was like, well, this was a stupid win, because like it was. We won on the stupid penalty, and we were supposed to win again. No, whatever. This one felt like a legit win. Second half, we turned it on. I liked it, and Espindola's good, and yeah,
I think it was a quintessential DC win. Like,
yes,
the attack was firing on all cylinders. The defense was not quite as good as it should be, but it's okay because Bill Hamid. Like
right.
That's what that game was to me. Like any other day or any other keeper in there, and New England scores 3.
Yeah, and he didn't even have to be that spectacular that day. It's just he's gotten to the point where we're starting to take him for granted. Like, I think the thing that I'm trying to think of the most about him is every time he comes off the line, he's gonna get the ball. Literally every time, it's his ball, and it's very comforting.
Because drawing him out used to be the way to beat him, drawing him out and rounding him or passing it off, but he's gotten much, much better at his decision-making, knowing when to stay on and when to leave.
Yeah, and I think Taylor Tolman actually made a point of that in the game, so that made me very happy. So, from that game to the other game that happened on Sunday, it's too bad we don't get to spend a little bit more time on this because it was a fantastic game, but RSL SKC rivalry, very, very, very chippy. I loved it though. I loved every second of it. It was great.
I hate that. It's so funny because it's like RSL this time. Okay, take everything that I hated about KC in 2011, and now it was RSL in that game. I could not believe the levels to which it was like they had 10 Kyle Beckermans out there. It was unbelievable.
Well, for me, it's like if I'm going into a game expecting that, I kind of like it more.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it's like when you watch back watching the late 2000s Baltimore Ravens play the Steelers. Like you knew it was going to be like a 10-7 game, and it was going to be like this crunch defense fest, blah blah, all those whatever words you want to use, aggressiveness in football. That's how I felt That's how I felt this game was going to be, and it was exactly that. And it ended with a pretty spectacular goal that I was a little bit happy about because I wanted them to draw. But yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
great game.
It was actually for the reasons why.
What's
everything that you loved about it made it very frustrating for me.
I hear you.
It's not everyone's cup of tea.
So with that, who wants to go first?
Pass the sriracha.
So what is this? You drink? You take shots of hot sauce after disappointing Philadelphia soccer games?
So it started as a bit of a joke because it was like during this one game we were playing Columbus and we were getting absolutely killed, and I'm just like, right now, drinking hot sauce straight up is probably more pleasant than watching the Union, and it just sort of caught on.
You just have to do it just to feel something.
Was it actually more pleasant?
Fuck. The list of good things about the Union right now: CJ Sapong and list.
I feel like you guys had this player who almost went to the World Cup last year. What happened to him? They
stopped playing him in the midfield. Did
somebody monstars him?
He's he's just... When he's good, he's great, but when he's bad, he's just a liability. And we've been seeing a lot more... Like, he just didn't really seem to give a damn for, like, the second half of that game. And it was such a bizarre game because for, like, until LA scored that first goal, you could argue Philadelphia was playing better.
They were playing better. No argument about it.
But then the first goal came, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, we give up.
Does that happen a lot to Philly this year? I feel like it does.
We just suck, man. We just suck.
I mean, you went to an
that's
Open
the
Cup final
high-level
last
commentary
year.
that people come to us for.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, the Open Cup final was last year.
And as a certain fan of a team knows, going to an Open Cup final doesn't necessarily mean you're a good soccer team.
Oh,
3 wins, you still won the Open Cup.
Snap. Well, I mean, winning the Open Cup doesn't necessarily mean you're a good team, Ian.
Exactly. So that's what I mean. That's what I was referring to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, look, okay, so they let Amobi Okugo go, which was a huge mistake, and they have
I think
Maurice
that's the
Adu.
biggest problem. We didn't find anyone to replace him in the midfield. I mean, we've been starting Brian.
No, you have a better player. Like Maurice Adu should be playing that position. It's just that your center back situation is so fucking bad that you have to play him back there.
Well, at this point, Vitoria's hurt, White's hurt. We're starting Marquez back there, and Marquez has been okay. I mean, he had that terrible mistake that led to a goal. But other than that, like, he was okay until the whole team decided to go, fuck it.
Right.
We're not going to try anymore. We're just going to get killed.
What if you guys had Rafa Marquez? That would be fun.
That's the only way it could have been worse. Well, if they had Rafa Marquez, he'd still be serving his band. So,
That's right. That's right.
I think Maurice Adu is a great player. It's just that like they have him in the. It's like putting Jermaine Jones as a center back. Like it basically neutralizes all of his strengths and magnifies all of his weaknesses.
When he plays midfield with Nogueira, they tend to get in the way a lot.
Of each other?
Yeah, they're not the best in transition together. They don't work off each other.
Would he and Zach Pfeffer be a better choice? Maybe he and maybe the glorious return of Sebastian Letou. I know Letou's more of a I know, but I know he's more of a winger. But I mean, he was somebody who was very good two-way on the outside. So I mean, I'm trying to give something to you fans here. Like, well, like what's the scenario that ends with you guys turning it around?
We throw Nick Sakewicz into a potato sack and throw that sack in the Delaware. Find someone who actually gives a shit.
That does not surprise me. Yeah, I think we have somebody who is regularly on this very podcast who feels the same way about their owner. Investor operator. I will never not call them investor operators after this
CBA. I hate to break it to you, Lux, but I think it's unlikely that eventuality is going to come to pass.
Unfortunately,
the administration of Philadelphia, like.
But okay.
I can't think of something that isn't messed up with this team. I mean, yeah, we have a lot of injuries, but you can only blame injuries for so much. Aristigueta's hurt. I said Vitoria's hurt. Letou's hurt. Yeah.
So this is sort of something I've been fascinated about for a while with regard to MLS and front offices. I mean, like it's no secret that teams that have good front offices tend to do better than teams without. So you're a fan of a team without. What kind of hope is there? Because I know DC United has always had at least like a caring GM, like somebody who seemed like he was on the cusp of knowing what he was doing, but not quite, and then you finally figured it out.
Zach's just fucking clueless.
Right. So, what sort of optimism persists within that context?
I think we'll wait for somebody's two-stroke dirt bike to go by.
Sorry about that, guys.
Was it you?
Is that Stop
Yeah.
stop revving your goddamn
Yeah,
motocross bike in the bedroom, man. Come on.
I was just gonna take my little two-stroke moped down to get some beer when this is over. I was just getting it warmed up.
I thought when you got married, your wife put an end to that, but
You know
Yeah,
what
no.
she doesn't know won't hurt her, Ian.
totally fair. So
You can't stop my moped hobby.
um,
anyway, Lux,
sorry.
back to the front office. Like, how do you deal with that as a fan? Like, what sort of optimism? Like, what sort of hope can you reach out for? Is it like a long-term future thing? Do you guys get excited about that youth school thing that happened last year? Like, what
We
what
have
is
a
it?
decent youth academy, but
Yeah.
that's what our team seems to want to invest in, but we haven't really seen results. Pfeffer is usually a substitute, starts if someone's hurt, and McLaughlin, the dude never plays. We're down 5-1, and Curtin's subbing on Fred instead of McLaughlin. When you're getting
Fred?
killed and you know you're out of it, why not throw out the young guys and at least see what they got?
You guys are using Fred. I remember him as the guy that barely made the starting 11 for 2011 DC team that didn't make the playoffs.
Yes, he came off the bench in the LA game. It was a double sub, him and Fabinho for Wenger and Noguera, or something like that.
The game was well and truly over at that point. Quickly
still.
about it's true. Quickly about LA. It was a big win for them, and it really shows what they could do when Robbie Keane is there actually pulling defenders. The real thing about it is that this is actually something I said before they went on their 11-goal tear this week, because they beat, admittedly, the amateur PSA Elite 6-1 earlier in the week. Is that they needed to remember that they could stomp a team, and so I think that's normally when Bruce Arena teams are winning, they take the foot off the gas, and that's something that did not happen this time. They kept going, kept pressuring, kept going forward, and they said, well, fuck it, if they're just going to let us. Everybody had this very Me Too approach. So, I don't think that the scoreline speaks to the qualities necessarily of either team, but really just sort of the mentality of once the game felt like it had been decided already. So I don't expect Philadelphia to give up another 5 goals next week, and I don't expect LA to score another 5, no matter who they're playing.
All right. So before we move on to bold predictions, Lox, you got any final thoughts on anything positive coming from Philly? Any predictions? Philly rest of the year? Anything like that?
CJ Pong's about the only thing that's going right now, and even he went off the rails a bit.
Yeah, things not looking great in Union Land. Hopefully things get better, because there's always such optimism about that roster. That roster always looks decent enough to challenge for a playoff spot. There really is. You should be able to do something with Arrizabalaga and Vittoria.
Well, it'd be nice if Arrizabalaga would stop getting hurt.
Yeah.
Because he's been hurt, then he's been with the national team, then he's been hurt again.
Yeah. So you guys have had a few injuries to deal with, but like you said,
you can only blame them for so much.
Right.
Exactly. Bold predictions time, guys. I know we teased a segment about wagers, but we'll have to do that some other day. It's already been an hour and a half. Let's do bold predictions. We'll start with our guest, Lux. What do you got?
Union lose both games. That's not really bold. But we get basically S2 and then Montreal, and Montreal's been playing really well lately.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, bold prediction. Last year on my birthday, LA played San Jose and lost, and this year they play San Jose again on my birthday, and this time they're gonna win. Damn it! That's that's my prediction.
Oh yeah, because it's it's rivalry week.
On my birthday.
Yeah, it is rivalry week with the most amazing rivals, New England and Vancouver, playing each other.
Well, I also would beg to differ that the biggest rivalry in MLS is clearly RSL Columbus.
Yeah, right.
That's a heated rivalry that knows no bounds.
Okay, well, I would say that probably this year they're not saying that everybody has a rival. They're just saying our biggest big name games. So LA San Jose is a big one.
Yeah.
KC Colorado is technically a big one, but like Seattle Portland and New York, like they just said, okay, look, fuck it, those are the ones that we're going to put out because those are the only ones that we're going to promote, and then everybody else is just having a regular game.
Hey, we're not playing New York this week.
That's
because it's New York, New York.
correct, Ian.
Oh shit! Oh fucking goddamn it! I forgot about that.
You blew it. But that I think that New York game is going to be very interesting because really since their last meeting, both teams have kind of gone in opposite directions.
Yeah.
Red Bulls have kind of fallen out recently, and NYCFC's won 3 in a row.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're having a good. And I just figured out why Ian was so against the idea of calling NYCFC and New York Red Bulls a derby, like right out of the gate, was because you didn't want the Red Bulls to have like a bigger rival. I got it. You vindictive person.
I actually don't mind that happened. My biggest problem with calling it a rivalry out of the gate is just they hadn't played yet. And then they played, and they,
Sure.
It
that's
was
fine.
a legit rivalry feeling
Lived up
game.
to the hype.
So it did. So I'll be excited. I'll definitely watch it. I am excited to watch that game. I'm just unhappy that now we're left without a rival for rivalry week. Now that feels weird.
You'll figure. I am sure
If
that
we
there
ever
is enough
become
hate in your heart for
relevant, we
two.
can do it.
If
Or after we actually decide to show up in the Open Cup.
I feel like this is how San Jose is gonna feel once LAFC comes in and rivalry week comes around. Maybe we'll hook up. DC
No,
and
then
San
they'll
Jose.
just look forward to
That's
There
a good
you
one.
go, like the jilted former, jilted former rivals. Well, I mean, it didn't happen with Chivas. I mean,
Until San Jose leaves you for Sacramento when they come in.
yeah. Well, here's the thing, though, is that look, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that NYC or that LAFC is going to be any good. And honestly, all indications point to it being like all sizzle and no steak.
Yeah, and what really should happen is there should be 5 good teams in that Northeast corridor. All 5 of our teams should be at least competent, or at least only one of them should really suck. And right now, that's
Well,
Philly.
I think we already got that covered.
Oh.
You'll come around. I Philly.
Hey,
In 2 years of Philly's amazing, we'll have you back on.
Speaking about predictions about the future, how about some more bold predictions?
Yeah, Pete. Why not a bold prediction?
Okay, bold prediction. This is going to be a little harsh, so bear with me. With Rapinoe out, the ladies' team struggles against China and goes through on penalties.
Hey, guess what? Rapinoe was the worst player on the field today.
That is
For the
totally false. That's so
bullshit.
incorrect.
That's bullshit.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
I
that
cannot
was
even begin to
every-
tell you how wrong you are.
But seriously, like look at her breaks that she ruined. Like there was this 4-on-4 break in the 30th minute, and she's like, "Ooh, I could pass it to any number of these players that are in wide open positions. Nah, I'll just dribble at 2 Colombian defenders and lose the ball, and then get mad that I fell down and didn't get a foul called on me." That happened like 4 times during the game, and it pissed me off.
Okay,
Well,
bold prediction still stands.
Bold
Struggle against China, have to use days to go through.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I think you're the only one left who has said nothing there, Ian.
Oh shit! I haven't even made mine yet.
Oh,
I was gonna say, I don't think we're. I think we're losing in the Open Cup next round to Philly.
Hey, that would
Ooh.
actually be nice. I want a Cosmos rematch, damn it.
That'd be kind of cool.
Because the last
Cosmo-
time we played them in the Open Cup last year, there were 3 red cards. That was
Oh.
pretty entertaining.
Man, Cosmos and City was a pretty great game.
That
yeah.
was.
Wild.
Yeah. And then they get the Red Bulls, and then if they win that, they get the winner of Philly DC. And then
Could
if they
be
win that,
last year, and there were tempers from last year.
yeah, absolutely.
I remember
And then
the
if
Cosmos were pissed off because they didn't get a penalty, and then we got a penalty, and then one of
And
their
then-
players kicked Hopino, which he probably deserved.
and then if they win that, they get the powerhouse Charlotte Independence in the semis, and then who knows where it goes from there. Anyway.
The ultimate NASL USL showdown.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yes.
Oh,
You guys know it. With that, it's been a podcast. It's been a fun podcast. It's been a long podcast. It will be
it's not
a
been that
little
long.
bit.
It'll cut down to an hour. It'll cut down to an hour.
We will see. I've been recording for an hour 20 minutes. I don't want to stay up that late tonight, but I might anyway. Have fun, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Thank you, username LoxaFoxLocria. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Absolutely.
Things we don't normally mention. We have a Twitter, @/MLS. Follow us and figure us where we are on iTunes. We're also on Stitcher. Yeah. Have a good week. Meow.
Yay.
Okay.
What the hell was that last noise?